somewhere in monarchical France lives young and beautiful Roxane, accompanied only by her attendant Marie, as Roxane is an orphan. With their limited wealth running out, Marie keeps suggesting to Roxane that she marry into wealth, especially with the Duke of Gitch, a man only second to the king in position who has been showing much romantic interest in her. But Roxane is one who believes in high and sweeping love, and she does not want to marry without being in love. She finds the Duke too engrossed in his own vanity and only keeps up with him for slight benefits, like going to watch a play on a particular evening. As they reach the theater, a young, newly recruited soldier is mesmerized by Roxane's beauty and follows her into the building. As the Duke and his company seat themselves on high ground equal to the level of the stage, Roxane and the soldier look at each other and fall in love at first sight. When the performance begins, a powerful and charismatic voice starts to feud with the popular actor on stage, using clever and poetic insults to almost drive him away from the pedestal. This voice is soon revealed to be that of Cyrano de Bergerac, a talented writer, poet, and duelist who also happens to suffer from dwarfism. When a member of the Duke's party tries to insult Cyrano by calling him a freak, he challenges him to a duel and defeats him fair and square. While returning that night, Duke de Gitch advises Roxane to end her friendship with Cyrano, but she refuses, as the two have been friends since childhood. On the other side, Cyrano goes for dinner with a friend and confides in him his profound and longing love for Roxane. Despite being endowed with many talents, Cyrano is very conscious of his short stature and unconventional looks, which hold him back from even imagining confessing his love to his friend. The next day, Roxane asks to meet Cyrano privately, at some hidden spot, and the two meet at a bakery. She tells him about a newly found love that she only discovered in the theater last night, and Cyrano increasingly starts to hope and believe that it might be about him. But very soon, she reveals her love to be the new soldier, who she has found out to be named Christian de Neuvillette. As Christian and Cyrano are part of the same army infantry, Roxane begs Cyrano to befriend the new soldier, protect him, and make him write to her. A heartbroken Cyrano follows suit, and realizes that the young man is very bad at expressing himself with words. Christian, on the other hand, is overjoyed upon learning of Roxane's interest in him, and he begs Cyrano to help him out in some way. Cyrano finally suggests a setup where he would write the letters to Roxane while pretending to be Christian, and Christian would go to drop them off. The setup works to great fruition at first, as all three enjoy the act of expressing love. Cyrano expresses his own love, concealing it under the name of Christian. Roxane is ecstatic reading the letters and falls madly in love with Christian. And Christian feels himself greatly fortunate to be loved by Roxane, who writes back to him letters of love. However, a crisis emerges when Roxane asks him to arrange a meeting between her and Christian. Hearing of this, Christian throws all of Cyrano's cautions to the wind and goes to meet his lover alone, but he is unable to talk romantically at all, and only stammers "I love you" thrice to a livid Roxane, who questions the genuineness of the letters. That night, accompanied by Cyrano, Christian goes in front of Roxane's house to apologize. He stands in the shadow in front of his beloved's balcony, while Cyrano first chooses his words, then speaks and sings, professing love from behind a wall. Meanwhile, Duke de Gitch had tried making advances towards Roxane, but she had managed to keep him at bay. This same night, as Christian shares the kiss with Roxane and Cyrano is walking away from her house, a priest arrives at her doorstep with a sealed letter from the Duke. The letter states that if Roxane wishes to marry the nobleman, she must ask the priest to wait till he arrives later that night, and if she does not wish to marry right away, then he would either way have her by consummating their relationship that night. Roxane is shocked to bits reading it, and also gives it to Cyrano to read, but then when reporting it to the priest, she cleverly says that the Duke has asked the holy man to secretly and hastily wed her to Christian, who was also present in the room all this while. When the Duke arrives, the two have already married, and in a vengeful rage, he orders both the men to report to their army duties and sends their entire infantry to the war front. Before leaving, Roxane tearfully asks Cyrano to make sure that Christian survives, that he stays loyal and that he keeps writing letters to her. The helpless lover commits to promising only the last demand, knowing that it would be in his hands, and he keeps writing letters of love to her from the battlefield. But the situation at war gets worse, and Duke de Guiche orders the infantry to be sent to the very front line of the battle, ensuring a certain death for most of them. Right before posting their last letter to Roxane, Christian encourages and asks Cyrano to confess his love to her, for he has realized that she is more in love with his person than his physical appearance. Christian then runs out of formation onto the battlefield alone and is immediately killed by enemy bullets. Cyrano mourns his death and plants the final letter for Roxane on his corpse. He is shot too, but Cyrano ultimately manages to survive the war. 3 years later, Cyrano is impoverished and in ill health from war wounds that never fully healed. Roxane remains his close friend. Sensing he is about to die, Cyrano meets with Roxane and asks for Christian's final letter. He recites it from memory, revealing that all of Christian's letters were from him, and Roxane declares her love for Cyrano before he dies peacefully.